What's up, everybody? Today we are talking about what is the best long-range options in Apex Season 24. Yesterday we ranked the legends. Like I said, today we're doing long-range, and then we'll have a short-range video coming as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell if you want to be able to see that kind of content first. And please don't forget to like and comment down below what you think of my rankings at the end of the video. But I don't want to take too long. Let's go ahead and get into it. P20 for long-range, F, Akimbo F. Mid-range is actually... you can hit shots, it's just not really going to work out. RE45's a D, because it's kind of a pocket R9, so whatever. 30-30, I hate the 30-30. I'm trying to let my bias go. We'll go B, because if you're hitting your shots, it can be pretty decimating. Alternator's decent in the mid-range-ish, and then as you get far out, it's not good. So we're going to go C here. Bow check. Care package rarity knocks it down a bit. We're going to go ahead and throw that into B here. Then we have the car. The car is better than the RE45, worse than the alternator because it's just harder to hit shots once you start getting out to range with the car. Charge rifle, if you're good with it, the charge rifle can really do some serious damage, but it's not the best to use. Having select fire does make it more interesting. We'll go ahead and slot it above the 30-30 in B tier. We have the Devo. If you can control the Devo recoil, the Devo is devastating at all ranges. We're gonna go and put that in A. I thought about top of B. I would consider S if the recoil was easier. Eva, it's a shotgun. It's going below the P20s, although the range is crazy. G7, I actually prefer over the 30-30 and honestly the charge rifle. We're gonna stick that at the top of B. The Havoc is currently in the care package. Its beam shot does really good damage. Care package rarity hurts it some, but even in the normal automatic mode, it's good. We're going to go and stick that in A. Long range, it can get pretty tough, but so can the Devo. But the mid to mid-long range, especially for your shots, it's devastating. Hemlock, I'm not a fan of Burst personally. The damage is decent. I'm going to go ahead and stick this ahead of the Devo. It's just easier to use. Kraber, care package rarity does hurt it, but especially with the lower TTK, it's just so good. It has to go up in S. Then we have the L-Star, the best LMG in the game. Do I want to stick it in S or the very top of A? Right now, it just feels so good. They did nerf it again a little bit. We're going to stick that in S tier. We have the longbow. I fucking hate the longbow. But it's not terrible. It's definitely not going down with some SMG. We'll go ahead and stick that in B tier for now. Mastiff, it's a shotgun, F tier. Mozambique's longest range of a shotgun. We'll go ahead and go with D. We're just gonna put all the shotguns in F tier. PK, especially with the care package rarity, although got much tighter spread. The Prowler, I honestly think is better than... it's probably behind the alternator because we're not talking close range. Long range, R3 is just so easy to shoot. We'll put that... yeah, I'm good with that. I think... I think we're actually going to go... we are going to put the L-Star down in A tier. R9, going one notch above the car. Oh, God, if you don't have a thermite, the Rampage is kind of brutal. We'll go ahead and put the Rampage at the top of B. I do think it's better than any of the marksman rifles or the charge rifle. Sentinel is really good right now, especially if you charge it with the lower TTK. It's fucking good. We're going to go ahead and stick that. I'm pretty sure in my head I know what the top 5 is going to be. We're going to stick that behind the L-Star because I know snipers aren't a lot of people's favorites, and they're just not as easy to use as automatic guns. Then we have the best marksman rifle in my mind, so we'll go ahead and stick that. We're actually going to go ahead of the Rampage here. I think the triple take is really good for what it is. Flatline, I'm actually going to put... I'm going to go ahead and put it behind the L-Star, ahead of the Sentinel. Sniper bias, maybe. But... the Flatline, it's not super duper hard to shoot, but as you get into long ranges, it's just harder to shoot. I think harder than the L-Star right now and harder than the R3. Otherwise, it would be higher. The R3 is just so easy. Then we have the Volt, which I think is the best SMG for like a mid-range use. Then we have the Wingman, which I'm going to go ahead and put behind the Sentinel. This is I think the first time that I'm gonna take the Wingman out of the top 5 since I started doing this. Then we have the Spitfire. It's easier to shoot than the Devo. So it's gonna go ahead of the Devo. This is shorter than it normally is. But we'll talk through this some. And then we have Nemesis. I'm gonna go ahead. I have a personal bias against the Nemesis personally. We're gonna go ahead and stick it ahead of the Wingman. It's just easier to use than the Wingman. So here's what we're looking at. We have the shotguns, obviously at the bottom, and then the P20. It's just so weak, and if you have a Kimbo, which makes it stronger, then you're not hitting anything even really into the mid-range. The only D tier we have is the RE45. Once again, it's a pistol. It's a pocket R9, so, like, it's okay, but once you're getting out of the close mid and the mid-range, it's just literally useless. And then we have the car and the R9, which kind of have similar problems. They have harder recoil than they used to, and that fast fire rate means you run out of bullets quick. And you're not going to be hitting a whole lot of shots when you're trying to use this in the mid-range, and definitely not in the long range. Then we have the Prowler. Especially with having select fire on it, it can be pretty good in the mid-range, because I don't think the recoil is too bad once you get used to it. And it does have good damage, so using it up into the mid-range is decent. Then we have the Alternator and the Volt, which both have very low recoil, both have decent mid-range damage. The Alternator has really good damage per mag, even without a mag, compared to the other SMGs, and the Volt has the least amount of recoil, so using that in the mid-range isn't too bad. Then we're getting into B tier. We have the Longbow, which is, in my opinion, the worst sniper. Now, the Charge Rifle, I think, is harder to use, but the Longbow just feels like a marksman rifle that's cosplaying as a sniper, and it's been one of my least favorite guns for a long time. The bow check would honestly be higher because the damage is so good, except it is a marksman rifle, and then it's care package. And being in the care package obviously makes it a lot harder to obtain. Then we have the 30-30. I remember the 30-30 meta a few seasons ago was devastating. It's been nerfed since, but it's still really strong. And if I remember correctly, either this season or mid-season last season, they increased or decreased the choke time to make it faster, which does make it better. Then you have the Charge Rifle, and if it wasn't for Select Fire, I'd probably have the Charge Rifle a couple spots lower, but they buffed it, and with the lower TTK, if you're at range hitting your shots, it can be really devastating, and then of course you can have it automatic. Then we have the G7, which I think is the second best of the marksman rifles, and you can tell I'm not a big marksman rifle fan, but it's pretty easy to use, and you can put the barrel stabilizer on it, plus a stock, which makes it a lot easier to use, which is something you can also do with a longbow, of course. But the G7 just better fire rate and just feels better. Then you have the Rampage, and the Rampage would make it into A tier if it was always charged. In fact, they did buff it, but the fact that to make it really good, you need something additional keeps it down in B tier. And even behind the Triple Take, which I believe they also increased the choke speed on that. And if I ever pick up and hold a marksman rifle for a whole game, it is always a Triple Take. I think it is the best one. You have a good fire rate, and you can't put a barrel mod attachment like you can on the G7. I just think it feels the best to me personally. And plus, it's actually a decent up close. If you get caught up close, especially with how bad the audio is, it's a decent shotgun in a way. So that definitely helps it. Almost put it in A tier, but I think I'm going to keep it in B. So then going from the bottom of A tier, we have the Devo. There is now I can't remember the hop up off the top of my head, but the hop up is not in the game, and the recoil is a little bit strong on it. I thought about putting this in B tier as well. Like, you could almost switch this in the Triple Take, or move the Triple Take up and put it behind the Rampage, depending on preference, although I wouldn't do that. If it wasn't for the recoil, this thing would probably be even higher in A tier. It has a really good time to kill when you're hitting your shots. So we go to the Spitfire. The Spitfire almost has flatline recoil without the flatline damage output. The big mag on it's really nice, like all the LMGs. But the iron sights are horrible on it. And it's like if you took the flatline and the R3 and combined them in a not good way. And then just put a big mag on it. Not a fan of it. Then we have the Hemlock. It hasn't been awesome since it was meta a couple seasons ago, but it hasn't been bad like ever. It's definitely an A tier weapon. I'm just not a big fan of burst weapons, but when you have it fully kitted, it can still be really good. Then we have the Havoc, which would be even higher on this list if it was in its current state and not in the care package. It would probably be a couple spots higher. But the care package rarity hurts it. while the beam fire ability and the care package level of damage helps it. And then the recoil isn't always the easiest, but I like where it's at. Then we have the wingman. The wingman in the hands of a really good player is devastating in a lot of ranges. Not long range, but like mid-range and close range. It is destroying people. And if you're really good with it, you can hit some shots long range. I'm comfortable where it's at. It's been in my top 5 a lot, but I just think there's so many good options with the lower TTK. Then we have the Nemesis, which some people would have higher. Once again, not a burst rifle fan. And the ramp up can sometimes be awkward, especially if it's not a gun you use a lot. When you're really good at it and you're really used to it, it is really good. And that's why it's even in the 6th spot. Then at number 5, we have the Sentinel. Sniping is not crazy popular, of course, in Apex. With the lower TTK, especially off rip, if you grab one, you can like one-shot people to the head, two-shot them to the body when it's charged, and it can be really disgusting. Like I said, especially with the lower TTK, limiting shields to purple without a helmet. Snipers are definitely in a stronger place because of that. Then we have the flatline. The flatline, of course, if its recoil was better, it would be where the R3 is. But like, if you're new to the game or you haven't played in a while, you're going to always pick the R3 over the flatline. Because although the damage output isn't as good, the recoil is so much easier, and you can put the barrel mod on the R3 plus the stock and make the handling way better. And personally, I think the R3 iron sights are better as well. Then we have the L-Star. The L-Star is being used a lot right now. It's very prominent. It already had to get nerfed in this season because it was doing so well, but the recoil's not super strong. It's good up close. It's good mid-range. It's good long range. It's just so easy to use. And you do have the cooldown, but there's no mag attachment to look for, which helps it a lot because you're looking for one less attachment. There is a mag. It just increases the cooldown, but like you are fine without a mag on it. And then we have the R3. It's every new player's. It's a lot of old players' favorites. It's just old, reliable, and so easy to use. And the damage output isn't amazing, but the fast-ish fire rate can make it forgiving, can make it compete up close. And just being able to put a barrel mod on it is huge, as well as it's got pretty good iron sights on it. And then finally, we have the Kraber. Now, the Kraber is care package rarity is an issue, so I thought about putting it down in A tier. But with the ability to one-shot, headshot when there was helmets in the game, so long as they didn't have red armor, if it was like purple armor and below and like blue or purple helmet and below, you could one-shot, headshot. Well, now without helmets and having max purple armor, and even if you do find the helmet to give you red armor, you don't get the headshot. You don't get the headshot protection. This thing is so disgusting. And even with the care package rarity, if you can hit your shots with a Kraber, which I actually really can't, you're just not gonna ever lose a long range fight so long as you can hit the Kraber. I mean, 12 shots, 12 knocks. Even people to the chest with like the blue armor and white armor, and so it's just too disgusting to not put at the top. So those are my top weapons. The top 5 is Kraber, R3, L-Star, Flatline, and Sentinel, especially when the Sentinel is charged. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this type of content and want to see it first. And I'll go ahead and link this tier maker down below, as well as my Legend video, and within the next day or two, we should have the short range video as well if you want to see that. But I will see you on Kings Canyon, Storm Point, and Olympus. Get frying. Have a good day.